On Monday, May 27, 2023, at 3 a.m. in Busan, South Korea, a phone call came into the police department. The caller was a visibly shaken taxi driver, his voice trembling with fear and anxiety. He told them he'd just dropped off a young woman just like any regular passenger who had flagged him down on the street. She had a large suitcase with her and asked to be taken to a wooded area near the Nakdong River. To the driver, nothing about the ride seemed off at first. He'd driven passengers to that area many times before. It was a familiar route, but everything changed the moment they arrived. The woman stepped out of the cab and walked to the trunk to retrieve her suitcase. That's when the driver noticed something strange. There was a wet, sticky substance leaking from the bag and soaking into the trunk's lining. It was dark, but as he leaned closer, the realization hit him like a punch. It was blood. The woman didn't seem to notice that he had caught on. It was pitch black and she probably couldn't see his expression, so the driver stayed calm, didn't let anything show. He simply told her goodbye, watched her walk toward the forest, and didn't move until she had completely vanished into the trees. Then, as quickly as he could, he drove off. Once he reached a lit area, he checked the trunk again. No doubt about it, the liquid leaking from her suitcase was blood. Like any normal person, he called the police. And a case like this, it immediately raised alarms. Within minutes, officers were dispatched to the area he described. It didn't take long before they made a gruesome discovery: mutilated parts of a human body. Welcome to Beyond the Shadows, where forgotten places, strange stories, and eerie mysteries come to light. Join us as we step into the unknown, one shadow at a time. Today, we're diving into the chilling story of a young woman named Jung Yoo Jung. Just like many of you, she used to binge-watch true crime stories. But what she did shocked not just South Korea, but the entire world. The forest she disappeared into was dense. At night, it's nothing but pitch black silence. In other words, the perfect place to hide a body. But thanks to the taxi driver and the information he provided, authorities were able to identify the woman. Just a few hours later, they were at her front door. Within 3 hours of her stepping out of that cab, Jung Yoo Jung was in custody. The police identified her by her face, caught on security cameras from where she'd originally hailed the taxi. With a credible witness and CCTV evidence showing her carrying a suspicious suitcase and a mutilated body discovered where she went, the police had enough to secure a search warrant for her home under South Korean law. Now, there is something important to know about South Korea. It is very rare for authorities to release personal details of suspects or victims to the media. A privacy law from 1991 ensures that, but there's an exception. When a suspect commits a particularly violent or disturbing crime, the police can publicly name and expose them so that the public is aware and potential future victims are warned. So who is Jung Yoo Jung, and what did she do that made the authorities break their silence? She was 23 years old, born in 1999. From the information gathered, investigators learned that Jung was raised mostly by her grandmother. Her parents had been distant and uninvolved during her upbringing. She attended a private high school, and even then, she had a reputation for being odd. She kept to herself, always silent, sitting alone at the back of the classroom. No one bullied her, no one caused her any trouble. But she made no effort to talk to anyone, and when someone did try to talk to her, she'd just stare without saying a word. After graduating, she remained unemployed for 5 years. In South Korea, securing a job typically requires passing a civil service exam, and one of its main components is English proficiency. Jung failed that part every time. Her English was terrible. That failure, over and over again, pushed her deeper into isolation. Over time, her life became nothing more than silence. No friends, no job, no social life. She barely left the house. And during those long stretches of solitude, she immersed herself in crime stories, books, dramas, documentaries. But unlike most people, she didn't just find the stories interesting. She became obsessed, especially with the killers. After the investigation began, Police looked into her phone and what they found was disturbing. Her contact list empty, no saved numbers, no text history, not a single message, just nothing. She was completely disconnected from the world. But what was there were her search queries? Months before the murder, Jung had been looking up things like how to kill someone murder with nobody the perfect crime. At first, she denied everything. She claimed someone had forced her to dispose of a body under threat of death, but the police didn't buy it. Eventually, they brought in her parents, who pleaded with her to tell the truth, and she confessed. Yes, she said, "I did it. I killed her, not for any reason. I just wanted to know what it felt like." The room fell silent. Investigators were stunned. Who did she murder and how did she choose her victim? In South Korea, there's a psychological evaluation used to assess mental illness. A score under 15 means someone is considered mentally stable. Over 25 indicates serious psychiatric issues. A notorious killer named Kang Ho-soon, who murdered his own mother and several others, scored a 27 when they tested Jung. She scored 28. That scared the police enough to reveal her identity to the public. She had no previous criminal record, no diagnosis, no history. She could have easily remained invisible. Psychiatrists suggested she may have chosen the English tutor because of jealousy. Jung had failed the English exam multiple times, and the victim was clearly proficient. That envy may have pushed her over the edge. As for the punishment, she confessed. The suitcase leaked blood. Her DNA was in the victim's apartment. The victim's blood was in Jung's apartment. CCTV placed her at multiple scenes. The case was airtight. Eventually, she stood in front of everyone and said, "I'm sorry." To the victim and her family, "I wasn't in my right mind." The case shocked the entire country. The brutality, the lack of motive, just pure, morbid curiosity. Although South Korea technically has the death penalty, the last execution was in 1997. Over 60 people remain on death row, but none have been executed in decades. For now, Jung has been preliminarily sentenced to 5 years. But as psychological evaluations continue, it's likely her final sentence will be much harsher, possibly life imprisonment or even capital punishment. This story teaches us something important. Isolation is dangerous. Be careful who you trust online. And if you work at a store and someone buys knives, plastic ties, and trash bags together, ask questions. This was today's story on Beyond the Shadows. If you found it compelling, don't forget to subscribe for more chilling cases like this one.